Well, the drilling moratorium in the Gulf has been lifted for almost a month now, but new government rules and regulations are making it much harder for the independent oil and gas producers to continue providing the much-needed supply to market. And that could mean a big loss of jobs and money. Joining us now is Briggs, president of the Louisiana Oil and Gas Association. Welcome to you. So once again, a month since the moratorium has been lifted, but why are there still specific challenges for the independent producers?
Well, Lori, the BOEM, who has, issued the new regulations for the industry, there's just really a total lack of clarity in all the new rules, and consequently, there's just, it's a big stopgap in making anything happen in the Gulf.
Now, we understand one of the issues, too, is it takes 3 times longer to go through the permit process. So talk about the financial implications of that, getting investors, keeping wells going, etc.
Well, independent producers, Lori, in the Gulf of Mexico, they are, people don't really understand quite what an independent is. Independent is a non-integrated company. A company like Exxon, for instance, is a integrated company, a company that produces and refines and sells. And independents are just investors, and some of them are privately owned, and some of the companies are publicly owned. But the independent producer...
I'm sorry to interrupt. Do you want to see different rules and regulations that are coming out of Washington for the independent versus the big integrated oil companies?
Well, the rules that are coming out are the same for everyone. And independents have drilled over 1,298 of the 2,500 wells, for instance, in the deepwater Gulf of Mexico.
Right, so do you want to see them separated?
Well, no, they don't really. The rules are all the same for everyone. But last week, for instance, the BOEM came out with their new rules of what they call the Notice to Leaseholders, number 10, and it required all the companies that were in the process of completing wells to now comply to all the new rules, which shut down additional rigs in the Gulf of Mexico. After the spill, companies that were in the process of drilling and completing wells were able to continue that for their completions. But now all that's been shut down, and there's just a great deal of confusion and lack of clarity in the rules.
One of the concerns is that the suspension would lead to a mass exodus of drilling rigs to foreign countries and foreign waters. Have you seen evidence of that happening?
Well, that has been happening, and many of the rigs that are contracted out there today are contracted through, most companies are saying, until March of 2011. And by that time, if we don't have some clarity in the rules and some certainty in the operations, the drilling rigs are going to be leaving the Gulf of Mexico, and it'll be years before they return back to the Gulf of Mexico.
When you say clarity in rules, give me an example of what more specific information you'd like to see.
Well, for instance, a lot of good has come from this. There's no question about it. From all mistakes, we learned something. However, for instance, one rule they have, and this is a big stickler with most all the companies, is the 400% rule, worst case discharge scenario. In other words, a company has a producing well, and what is the worst case that well could flow freely into the environment? And then you multiply that times 400 and times 4, which is quite large. And in the Gulf of Mexico, a good well, a very good well, is 50,000 barrels a day. And the current law is 200%, which our companies can meet. Okay. But the 400% makes it out of reach.
Well, good luck to you. Briggs, thanks for your time, helping us understand the industry a little better today.